Oh, you fancy, huh? Let me see your hands. Wave them at them bitches hating on you with their friends. Girl, you got it.
Good morning. It's about 5:30 in the morning at the time that I'm recording this. Wherever you are, hello, good morning, good night, good evening, good day. You're going to hear a little bit of noise while I continue to do my hair and things to get in uniform. I want to talk a little bit about reactive abuse, or talk a little bit more about it. I got some feedback from several of you when you heard the term for the first time. You've heard me mention it a little bit in some of my videos, and today I just want to dive into it a little bit more. And she was made to appear crazy by the one who sent her there. And she was made to appear crazy by the one who sent her there. That is one of my favorite sayings. Let me tell you where I got it from. The man that I was dating, that DJ in Oklahoma, the radio guy, his baby moms used to send me messages. And at the time, I was so male identified, and I thought, I really thought I knew this guy because I looked up to him in college, and he had been on radio for a while, and we had been, I used to say friends, but now I know better. We were acquaintances for years. And so we always had very nice, lovely interactions because, of course, that, they were just quick little. So I'm thinking, oh, he's a wonderful guy. She's just bitter because she just had his baby and that's all she got out of him was a baby. That dumbass thing that a lot of us women will say to ourselves and then say to other women. We need to stop that shit. See, I thought, this is so weird. Why is she trying to be my friend? She must really be jealous because I'm with him. No, it's because she knew this nig-nog through and through. She knew this raggedy motherfucker, and she knew everything that he was about to take me through. She was trying to help me. Girl was close to 10 years older than me. And then of course, he would also say, don't listen to her. These are some of this, they use the same playbook, these Ash Guardians. They say the same things. Oh, she's older than you, and she's just jealous because you're younger and your body's tighter, your face is cuter. They really hype you up. Divide and conquer is what they've been historically able to do with us women. So separate you. Somehow isolate you, triangulate you women against each other, because as long as we're not able to come together and tell each other the truth and be the community that we are designed to be, they're able to continue to keep us available for their use and abuse. And him knowing that I was already predisposed to abuse, that he already kind of had me because they use their peen as a weapon. And him also knowing that I didn't have any strong community around me, and there were no men that were ever going to challenge him for the way that he was treating me that I didn't even notice yet. So these are all things to remember and to think about if you decide that you ever want to continue taking these men seriously. This is what happens. This is what happens with not all of them, whatever. As far as I'm concerned, it's all of them until it's none of them at this point. So let's get into this thing. She would send me, I wish I could remember her name, but she would send me a lot of memes. She would send me a lot of messages, and it was weird because it was kind of coded, but I guess it was her trying to be maybe not too aggressive way of trying to help me. And looking back, everything she sent me had so much accuracy in it. I wasn't ready to see it. I didn't get it. And also, I had him in my ear. That's another reason why they love that talking stage, and they coined that term. Oh, we're just talking. You know why? Because as long as they're able to continue to stay in your ear and in your brain, they're able to stay in control. Let me tell you something. Men, the way to have control to a degree with them is to basically really, really monopolize their visuals. As long as you look good, then you can get your way. And as long as you look good and you dangle that in front of them, you can get your way in a lot of ways. With women, the way to really, I think, dig in when it comes to control is to stay in our ear and in our brain. they're ruled by the physical fucking lust. They're idiots. They're very shallow. We, a lot of times, are ruled by our mind, our imagination. So as long as they can keep talking, they can keep texting, and they've got this, they're able to keep having this hold. They're able to future fake. They're able to have you hanging on to most of the time, it's a dream that's never going to fully materialize. They're able to keep breadcrumbing you. And as long as they're able to stay in communication with you, they know that they're still good. They still have a foothold. So, there's that. So back to the thing. She kept sending me these messages, and he would always try to find a way to go through my phone and things like that. And at that time, I did not know that all that was abusive. I thought, oh, he just cares. And because I grew up under a form of abuse like this, I grew up under a man who was controlling and who was very self-centered and everything else. So some of this was still normal. So he would see her messages. I would wake up to him on my phone, and basically combating everything that he saw that his baby mom was texting me. I'll say I'm just so glad that I'm not that woman that I used to be. I evolved from that space, and for me that was difficult because a lot of those things were just normal. So reactive abuse. There was this message she would send me a lot, and the message and the meme and the images said, and she was made to appear crazy by the one who sent her there. So people wrote her off as crazy and saying that all she does is talk about him. She's obsessed with him. And he would say it too. I believed it because I heard it a lot. But who's the one who so-called drove her there? It was him. It was him and the way that he treated her and took advantage of her being so long suffering for quite some time. And I guess her still having this hope that he was going to be a better human being, that he wasn't. And that's something else that I think that as nurturing women, we do, that we have to just give up. We have to stop that. Just quit. Get somebody else to do it. And I'm glad to say that I have finally got there, accepting the reality for what it is, accepting the reality of the man for who and what he is, and not thinking anymore and not having this compassion and waiting for him. So we have to stop having this compassion and this hope and this long suffering and a lot of things that we're still taught in this patriarchal society and in this very man-centered church world to be for these men. The people who deserve that, give that to yourself. Stop giving it to them, because all you're doing when you're giving that to them is giving them more time to continue being exactly who they are. We're thinking, oh, we're giving them time to evolve. No, the man that you are with and what you see, that's it. What you see is what you get. It doesn't get any better than that. And even if there's a chance that it does, why would you sit there waiting on it? Like, why would you treat your life and your outcomes like you're sitting at a damn slot machine? That's foolish. That's so foolish. Be willing to be in control of your outcomes and take responsibility for it. He's a fool. That's it. What you see is what you got, is what you've been getting. I mean, we study history for a reason. Study that history of what you've been getting from him. And it's probably been dick and dust if you're here. If you're here, then you've been getting just dick and dust. So I'm going to give you some examples throughout my life of what reactionary abuse looks like, and I didn't know it. And this is how and why it became normal to me. And this is also how and why I became one of many women, like a lot of you that will be listening to this, that would look at the woman and think, oh, that bitch is crazy. Because, that's something that's repeated so widely and just so widely accepted. Why? Because a lot of times you see the one who's the victim losing their shit. Just basically going off, screaming, being emotional. That's because you're seeing someone who has finally reached their breaking point. They have been emotionally, psychologically, hell, physically kicked one too many times, and they are at their breaking point. So of course you're seeing them react. It's called reactionary abuse, not because they have become the abuser. No, it is because the abuse that they have suffered for so long, for too long, now they're reacting to it. And so it makes it seem that they actually might be the one committing the abuse, because you see them being loud, going off, being emotional, and you don't see the other party like that. And that is why these asshats get to continue with the behavior, because a lot of them, they keep their composure in public. And so if that person who's been dealing with their bullshittery for so long and they've been subjected to their ain't shitness, this is for years, hell, for decades, you see them react to it, then looking from the outside in, if you're a very objective party to this, who are you going to think is the abuser? Who are you going to think is the crazy one? And this is what happens in courts. This is what happens at work, at school, and everything else. Hell, landlords, these things happen at home. And so I've seen people who are the victim sometimes wind up having to lose their home because the landlord thinks they're the problem, because the landlord sees them reacting to the abuse and they see the aftermath. This is stuff that really is toxic and destructive to so many areas of your life. And I've seen it happen. I've watched it happen growing up. Unfortunately, I had a lot of this foolishness in my life before I decided, forget this. I'm going to take control. Families do this. A lot of toxic family systems do this to the scapegoat in the family. I like to jokingly call it the goat. Because you are the goat in many ways, which is why they choose you, which is why the priest chose, a particular one to carry, the sins of the family. If you want to go back to the origin of what scapegoat means, that was a decision to choose a particular one. Why? It had to be somebody that they looked at as just, the greatest, the biggest one, the one that had the capacity to carry so much. Let's destroy this one. This one can take it. But this is that reactionary abuse that happens. It permeates so many areas of your life, and you get to look like the one that's crazy, and they get to basically throw all their shit on you and go on about their business, going about their merry way, and still be happy, as long as they're still able to have you as that person to practice the abuse on. So I'm going to go into some of the memories I had, some of my earliest memories of witnessing reactive abuse and being manipulated into thinking that, oh, she's crazy. And even sometimes resenting this person, this woman who gave me life, my mother. I remember vividly, there were so many times, and from an early age, and I'm talking about like the first times this happened, we were living in Europe. So this was before even third grade. I think I came back to the States second or third grade. I remember it would be like out of nowhere, and especially at night. And it became a running theme for a long time. Even into my teens. It started to slow down then, but still happened in different ways. And I think the reason why it slowed down into my teens and into my early adult years is because by this time she had given up and she was tired. She didn't have any fight left in her. And that's what they want. They want to wear you down to that point. So late at night, it seemed to be out of nowhere. And as a child, only hearing the end part of it, I really thought and believed that it was out of nowhere. My mother would just start screaming. Just going off on my father. And I remember thinking, and of course I was encouraged to think too, because of things that were said, in our presence, and then jokes and stuff later on. Like, what the hell is wrong with her? Why is she always yelling and screaming and cussing at my father? You're this, you're that, you're a bitch, da-da-da. And so I'm thinking, kind of like if you guys listen to that D is for Donkey series, just the same way that jackass that I dated, the way his daughter would try to defend him, even though he was the one causing all the bullshit. I was like that little girl. I was thinking, but I wouldn't dare say it out loud. What the hell is wrong with her? Why is she always yelling at my father? Just going off. And, my mom's a Jersey girl. My grandmother, she was from Jersey City. So, okay, enough said. So, she's giving it to him, and it would make me feel slightly resentful. But as I got a little older, I started noticing it was him. He was the problem, but he was doing things to her, and it wasn't so overt. it was kind of quiet. All the little comments, all the ways he kept treating her. He was cruel. He was a cruel manipulator. So she would get to this point very frequently, and it was a cycle to where she had it, and her only recourse, I guess the only thing that she knew to do was to just go off on him. And there's all those memes that talk about as long as she's upset and she's yelling, then you still got her, because when she gets quiet and she's done, she's not saying shit, she's out. And I guess for whatever reason, she felt like it was worth it to still stick around and to go off and to maybe give these, pour into this emotionally, and somehow, I guess in her own way, give him an opportunity to get better and to stop the foolishness, which, that never happens with these people. The foolishness changes, it slows down as they get older, and never stops. They are who they are. So I remember one time, in particular, when I started hearing and understanding what was happening, because he would be on the phone. I don't know who the hell he was on the phone with, but I wound up seeing other abusers do this later on. And actually, the last husband, the cockroach, he used to do this as well. He would call my father when I was going off on him, and he would play it on speakerphone, or he would record me on his phone. This is something else that these abusers love to do. They love to pull out the phone or pull out the camera and get footage of you losing your shit for several reasons, because they think it makes them look good. And to the untrained eye, and to the people who are easily manipulated by their shit, they do look good to them, to the ones who aren't smart enough. Also, it gives them this continuous supply. They love it. They feed off of your misery. So they'll poke you, they'll push you until you've had it and you're going off. And that energy that you're giving them, that attention, they relish in that. So this is what he was doing. And I would start to notice some of the things he was saying as my mother was just losing her shit. He would say stuff like, "Oh, that's it? That's all you got? Go ahead, say some more." He loved it. I started to notice when I got to my adolescent years that, wow, she is made to appear crazy by the man who's driving her there. That is what reactive abuse looks like. It can make you look like you are the abuser. You are the crazy one. You are the unstable one. And in that moment, you are unstable because they pushed you off your square too many times. And so you are not abusing, you're reacting, and you're trying to survive it the best way that you know how. And that is all something that has been manipulated by them. Here's how it looks in the family of origin, the family that you may be in that is just completely toxic, unhealthy. When you're the scapegoat, they do this as well. And the sick part of it is, they will say things to you. What is wrong with you? You're so full of drama. I grew up in a narcissistic family where not only would they say it to each other, but they would say it to me. And they actually had me thinking for a really long time that I was the problem, because it seemed like I was always at the center of a family fight or drama. Someone like me, someone like one of my aunts that they love to call crazy to this day behind her back. We're the ones that are the problem because we're reacting to the way that they're treating us. So if you don't know any better, you start to believe this shit, and you start to actually think, okay, I'm the one that's crying out. I'm the one that's, responding in this particular way. And you forget to realize that this is all something that they set up. These are conditions. This is weather that was precipitated by them. These are conditions that they created by design for you to suffer through. You've got to be really careful with that. When you get to recognizing that you are not the problem, that this is not a healthy environment, that this is not me. I know it's not me. Look around. And this is something else they will also try to do. They will try to lie to you and make you believe that this is really who you are. I'll never forget the few times in my mid to late 20s where I'm putting my life together. I'm building the life I want. I'm staying in the right, areas. I'm staying connected onto the healthy spaces. But then whenever I get around my family and something happens and I react under that setting, they go, oh, there she is. Like literally, I've had some of them say that. There she is. Welcome back. And that's not who I am. That's who they want me and they need me to be for some of their own sick reasons. And when I started noticing that aha moment, oh, there she is. I knew you weren't really better. I knew you ain't shit. There it is. I noticed that, if this is who these people want me to be, and this is not who I am, and I'm only behaving like this around them, then what's the common denominator? Because I don't have these problems with anybody else. I don't have these issues, with my friends at work, at school. I'm not even compelled to behave this way. So then what's the issue? What's really the problem when you look at it like that? The problem is the environment that you're in. You have to stay away. You have to protect yourself and you have to stay away. You don't owe anybody anything. Even if you share the same DNA, the only person that you ever in life is yourself. You owe it to yourself to give yourself an environment, a family system, friends, business, work, and everything else that is healthy, that brings out the best in you, that only wants and encourages the best in you. That's what you owe. These people who would try to basically knock you off and keep you off your square and want to see you in a position where you're unstable, where you're unhealthy, where you're unhinged, they mean you no good. I'm going to tell you something that I thought I came up with it, and it was an original thought for me, but then you look around and you see that these thoughts, although they may be original to you, other people have them too. And that's another conversation for another day. But I remember the first time me having this spontaneous thought that love is thicker than blood. It's true. Love is thicker than blood. And your family goes beyond your DNA. There's a lot of people who share DNA with you that are not your family. They're not your family. They're not for you. As a matter of fact, they're usually the one that want to see you fail the hardest because they believe that you're a reflection of them. So if you are able to overcome a lot of toxicity, if you're able to overcome maybe even yourself, if you were raised a certain way and decide to ascend, then it makes them feel terrible about themselves. It holds up in me. So because you came from where they came from. So then it makes them look at themselves and in the most negative way possible, which is not your problem. This is why you can see mothers who don't, and fathers who don't want to see their children do good, who will actually compete with their kids instead of support them, who can't show up for anything good for them unless they have something good on their own, in their own life, because they look at you and they think, well, if you came from me, or if you came from where I came from and you're doing this, now you're making me look bad. That is the most dysfunctional, disturbing way to view it. But it's not your job to teach them in another way. It's not your job to teach them anything. It's not your job to sit there and try to be long-suffering and to try to, to try to encourage them, any of that stuff. They're big boys, they're big girls, they're adults. Just like you had to find a way to elevate on your own, to find the right sources and to separate. They have the capacity to do that as well if they want to. As a matter of fact, your job needs to be to protect you and your space, to protect where you are in life right now, because these are the very people, look at history. These are the ones that you have to watch out for the most. These are the ones who will try to destroy whatever progress and growth that you've made. That's your job, to keep yourself from that BS. All right, you can hear a little bit more moving and stuff around. I've got to zip up my luggage and get ready to be on duty for another day. Go save some lives and sling some cokes and stuff. Have a beautiful day, guys. Make sure that you like, you love, you subscribe, you share this, and let's keep this conversation going in the comments. When I was talking about my memories, did any of this seem familiar to you? If it did, tell me about it. What feelings, what memories did it bring back? What are your thoughts? Have you done the work, the hard work to escape a toxic system like this. How are you feeling now? Can you breathe now? Have your health improved? Have more dreams? And have more doors open for you now? Have you been able to actualize your dreams better? And what does that toxic situation that you left look like? After they said that you were the problem, you were the scapegoat, did you find that after you left, those problems were still there? Let's talk about it in the comments. Bye-bye. Have a beautiful day.
Let me see your hands. Wave them at them bitches hating on you with their friends. Girl, you got it.